Given that today is Veterans Day, it's fitting that at least one of our honorees is a bona fide American military hero. Wounded twice in battle, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin was one of the original members of the U.S. Army's Delta Force, commanded these elite warriors in combat operations. He served in Vietnam and numerous combat operations, including Grenada, Panama, and Somalia. Drawing on his extensive combat experience, he was chosen to command all of the Army's Green Berets and to head the Special Warfare Center and School. He spent 36 years in the U.S. Army, including 4 years at the Pentagon as Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, appointed by President George W. Bush. And after leaving the military, he became a warrior for the gospel of Jesus Christ as an ordained minister. His concern for America's national security never diminished, however. He joined the Center for Security Policy, Team B. The head of Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney, is also here tonight, which compiled a report entitled Sharia, the Threat to America. His outspoken advocacy for the well-being of our country, internationally and domestically, has made him a target of left-wing attacks. He was prevented from speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast at West Point because of objections to his evangelistic faith. He was fired and then reinstated as professor at Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia after his biblical views about marriage were used to accuse him of hatred. Anyone who knows General Boykin quickly learns he is one of the most loving people you'll ever meet. In spite of being smeared, he continues to fight for our Judeo-Christian values as executive vice president of the Family Research Council. Let me say that he and I met, believe it or not, folks, he and I actually met in a situation where we thought we were going to have a physical fight. Not with each other, but we were there honoring, we were at a press conference at the National Press Club honoring Israel, and some people came in and tried to assault a rabbi. And I found out pretty quickly that General Jerry Boykin is a warrior. Because he wasn't having any of that, you know? And I consider myself, yes, a fighter, but when he stood up, I just said, well, go right ahead. You know? Well, look, I had the opportunity to work with him at the Family Research Council in so many other ways now. We've been on the podium together many, many times. He is, again, one of the people that I love and admire. Jerry and his wife, Ashley, have 5 children, a growing number of grandchildren. He now fights for them, their future, and the future of America. He spent his life defending this country and the blessings of liberty. It is an honor to confer upon Lieutenant General William G. Boykin the George Washington Award for taking a stand.
I love you. Thank you, Bishop. I love you too, man. Well, thank you all very much. And Bishop, thank you so much. It's a tremendous honor to be here. This is a room full of troublemakers. I mean, no joke. In fact, that rabbi is here tonight that got the bishop and I in trouble at the National Press Club. Stand up, Rabbi. Rabbi Spiro. Yeah, and it wasn't our fault, by the way, Bishop, because he went right, I mean, we bypassed those people that were advocating for cutting off all aid to Israel, but not the rabbi. He went right straight in there and got right in their face, and the next thing we know, they got their finger in his chest, pushing him back through the door of the room we were in. And that was a little bit too much for me and the bishop, so we went after them. But this is a room full of troublemakers. How many of you in here have been criticized by the left or by the media or by all of the above? Raise your hand, please. Is this a room full of troublemakers or what? This is a great honor, and thank you. And I've known the bishop since 2012, and I've worked with him. I've been part of his campaign when he's run, and he has worked for us at the Family Research Council, and anytime he calls me and asks me to participate in something with Stand, I'm very happy and eager to do so because of the impact that he has. And this network is growing. And that's the thing. I remember when it was just a small little network and you might have 30 or 40 people that would call in on those calls. But it is growing now, and it's growing because the bishop is putting a great deal of energy into this, but he's also getting the right people into this now. And you heard from a couple of them tonight that are helping him push this along. So thank you, Bishop, for your efforts. Today's Veterans Day, as the Bishop said, and the Bishop only has one flaw that I can identify, and that is the fact that he's a Marine. Okay? He's a Marine. So let me tell you this story. How many of you heard the story about the Marine that went into the Walmart? This Marine had on his blues, and he walked in a Walmart, and he went back into the appliance section, and he said, "Ma'am," he said, "excuse me," he said, "I want to buy that TV right there." She said, "I won't sell that to a Marine." He said, "That's discrimination. I'll have your job. You can't do that." He went home. He thought about it overnight, and he thought, I really want to. He put on his civilian clothes, pulled his ball cap down real tight. He went back in there. He walked back up to the same woman, and he said, "Ma'am, excuse me." He said, "I want to buy that TV right there." And she said, "I already told you I won't sell that to a Marine." He said, "That's it. I'm going to see the manager. You're going to be fired." He went back home, and he thought, "I'm going to wait a little while. I'll go back." He waited a little while, and he went back, put on his civilian clothes, pulled his ball cap down real tight, walked back in. There was a man in there, and he said, "Oh, I got it made." Now he walked up, and he said, "Excuse me, sir." He said, "I want to buy that TV right there." And the guy said, "Well, I won't sell that to a Marine." He said, "How do you even know I'm a Marine? I'm in civilian clothes." The guy said, "Because that's a microwave." Today is Veterans Day. Listen, I want to start out by saying this to you all. Be proud to be an American, because these veterans that we celebrate today are largely responsible for us being able to be proud to be Americans. And one of the things that really bothers me is that a recent survey, I think it was done by John McLaughlin, of millennials, said that 60% of the millennials today are not proud to be Americans. How can we sustain this nation if we got a generation of youth coming up that are not proud to be Americans? And you know why they're not proud to be Americans? Because they don't know the first thing about American history. Because they don't know of the sacrifices that were made there at Normandy on the 6th of June, 1944. That's exactly right. Or up at the Chosin Reservoir in December of 1950. They don't know about these sacrifices. They don't know about the men in the Revolutionary War that George Washington said he could tell where they had been by tracking the blood in the snow because they didn't have boots to put on their feet, the sacrifices that were made. Be proud to be an American. And I promise you, Trevor and I did not coordinate our thoughts or our presentations tonight. But what the heck has happened to our country? I was criticized repeatedly for saying that Barack Obama was a Marxist. I got criticized, I got laughed at, but now, just look at the people running on a Democratic ticket. There may be one that is not a Marxist. They call themselves Democratic Socialists. Could one of you professors explain to me what the heck a Democratic Socialist is? There is no such thing. They are Marxist. They are Marxist. And you say, how could this have happened? How could this have come about? Give me the first slide. How many of you have ever seen this book or know about it? Huh? Anybody? Let me see your hands if you've ever seen this book. Well, it's back in publication. Go on Amazon and get this book, because if you want to see what's happening in this nation, all you have to do is go to this book. Next slide. Because it was written by the Communist Party USA, and they had a plan to dominate America. And I'm reading these slides because the Marines in here read one letter at a time. So I'm going to read them to you. This was written in 1958. What do you think America did in 1958 when they wrote this book telling us how they were going to take over America? What do you think America did? We laughed at them. We scoffed at them and said that can never happen in this nation. It cannot happen. They told us how they would take over, and we just called them foolish. Next slide. Here's what they said their objectives were. This is their words. Nothing on these slides is my words. They're going to destroy families. You know why? Because the most important thing in any society, if you want a good economy, good high school graduation rates, low crime rates, and good personal health, is an intact family. And an intact family is a father, mother, and child. It is not a father, father, and child. It is not a mother, mother, and child. It is a father, mother, and child. That's the most important thing. And they were going to force a moral upheaval. They were going to force us to give up our standards of morality in this nation. We'll come back to that. It forced Americans to accept freedom of worship versus freedom of religion. And look, this whole idea that we've got to confine our faith to the church or to our homes is absolutely not what our founding fathers intended. Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to petition their government peaceably for a redress of grievances. That's 5 constitutional rights in there, all aimed at the freedom of religion, not freedom of worship. Hitler told the church in Germany that they could worship as long as they kept it in the church, but they didn't bring it into the public square. Stop and think about that. We're being told exactly the same thing, because we're told if you don't bake that cake, if you don't take those photographs, you are going to lose your business or we're going to put you in jail. That is Marxism, pure and simple. That's Marxism, and that's the same kind of thing that Hitler did. Force Americans to accept that and then make America a Marxist nation. Next slide. Here's what they said they were going to do. They're going to use school curricula to promote socialism. Have they done that? Have they done that? Why do so many of our youth today think that socialism is at least equal to, if not superior to, capitalism? Because we watched it. We slept through about a 30-year period where all of this happened, and we didn't show enough interest as parents, and I'm just as guilty as anybody, to go down there to the school board meetings and pay attention to what was being taught in our schools. And now we got a serious problem of getting this turned back around. Eliminate obscenity laws and call it free speech. How many of you remember back when they were doing this thing, they had these court hearings about obscenity, and one of the judges finally said, well, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it when I see it, you know. That was all part of this whole plan to get us to the point where we were accepting what we knew was obscenity. And now look at Hollywood, look at the mainstream media, look at just primetime television. And it's based on my standards, it's obscenity. Break down the cultural standards of morality by promoting porn. How many of you know who Josh Mcdowell is? Okay. Great Christian leader, author, speaker. Josh Mcdowell has been doing research on pornography. He says that 74% of the families in a church today have somebody in that family that's addicted to porn. He also says that young people are, on average, introduced to porn at 9 years old. And anybody that says, well, I don't have a problem in my family with porn is probably not aware of what's going on in their family, and it's tearing families apart. That's what it's directed at. It's directed at the family. Tear the family up. Tear the family up. And the rest of society will collapse under its own weight. It's all about the families. Infiltrate the media and gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and movies. Have they done that? Have they done that? Okay. Next slide. Infiltrate the church and replace revealed religion with social religion. I just ask you this, how many churches in America today are a social religion church? You don't go there to hear the gospel. You don't go there to hear about the fact that Christ went to Calvary and died to pay the price for our sins. You don't hear that. What you hear is this feel-good gospel. You hear this prosperity gospel. You hear this, brother, we're all going to heaven. And that is not scriptural. There is no foundation for that. Or if you have enough faith, you can have anything you want, to include that nice Mercedes down the street there. Go preach that in Africa.
That's right.
Go preach it in Africa where there's a huge revival going on. People are coming to Christ, coming in faith, but they're just trying to feed their families. Go preach that prosperity gospel there. But it's all part of this whole Marxist movement. That's what it's all about. Discredit the Bible. You even have major denominations now that are questioning whether the Bible is the inerrant Word of God. Major denominations. Where did it all come from? It came from the Communist Party USA. And that's what we're living with today. Promote cohabitation versus marriage. I think we're at the crossover point now where cohabitation is just as popular as marriage. Okay? You can't sustain families with that. Next slide. Get children away from their parents at an early age. Remember when the Obama administration was talking about universal daycare? Let me tell you something. Reza Gorbachev, when she wrote her doctoral thesis on child development, said this. She said the problem with Russian children is the fact that they spend too much time at home exposed to too much mythology. What do you think that mythology is? That mythology was a religion, faith, God. And now they're talking, the Obama administration was talking about universal daycare is to get your children away from you so they can be indoctrinated. Don't let that happen. Support feminist movement and create a disconnect. What does that say, Bishop? Never mind, I know you can't read it. Disconnect with motherhood. See that? You see that happening? Support the environmental movement in order to destroy businesses. And I'm telling you, this is their word. This is in the book. I'm not making this stuff up. It's not my words. It's what they said they were going to do. We see, God bless Donald Trump. He's come in there and started rolling back all those environmental EPA regulations and everything, and we can get businesses going again. But man, it was killing businesses. Get control of the schools through teachers' unions. The idea is if you unionize the teachers, all you have to do is control the union. And then you control the teachers. Then you control the curriculum. Destroy morals by getting Americans to accept homosexuality. We're beyond accepting it. We're so far beyond accepting it now. We now are required to celebrate it. They're asking us in the workplace. They're asking us in the government to celebrate it. So it doesn't matter what your objections are. You're asked to celebrate it. Eliminate prayer in schools. They did that. Discredit the family as an institution and promote promiscuity and easy divorce. This easy divorce is all part of their plan. What, this no-fault divorce? There's actually a guy I ran into down in Austin, Texas there. Is really working hard to try and roll this no-fault divorce in Texas back because it's just destroying the families. We need to understand all this stuff came out of the Communist Party USA. Next slide. So what do? Look, we got all these great strategists all over the country. Everybody's got this plan. They're going to save the world, and normally they call, and I get calls from them, and they say, if you'll just lead it. If you'll lead it, or Family Research Council will lead it. We got this plan. We got the money. We can. Yeah, my plan is not nearly that complicated. What do? I'm going to make it real simple for you. This is my view. Next slide. Pray. Everybody can do that. I don't care what your physical condition is, what your age is, everybody can do that, and prayer works. Trust me. If you ever hear my personal testimony, you know prayer works because I have seen God show up at the right time, at the right place, and spare my life more than once. And for those of you who never heard me tell the story about jumping out of an airplane and having a total malfunction and going through and snagging in a pine tree, an 80-foot pine tree to save my life, do you think that was by coincidence? No. Pray for the nation. Pray for the leaders. And pray that God will bring us another great awakening like we've had in this nation. You all know 2 Chronicles is very clear. If my people, that's us, that's the people of faith, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray. You know the scripture. It's talking to us. The other thing is, in Psalms 94, the Bible says, who will rise up against this evil for me? Who will take a stand against these doers of iniquity? Or some translations say these evil doers. If you don't recognize there's evil in the land, then you got your head in the sand. Wake up and realize that there is evil in this land. You cannot kill 60 million babies and not recognize the evil in this land. You cannot have these gay pride parades that are so disgusting. You don't even want your kids to see this stuff and think that there's not evil in the land. It's evil. Next thing is get beyond political correctness. Every one of these people that came up here tonight and got this award, and thank you again, Bishop, every one of them, to include the bishop and to include Frank Gaffney and all these, most of these other people that raise their hands out there, every one of them, because they have not been politically correct, they've been criticized by the left, they've been criticized sometimes by the right, and they've been criticized by the media. But they're still standing, aren't they? Star, you still in there, girl? Jenny? Yeah. And I know Ken Blackwell is, that big rascal. He's just like the bishop. He looks for fights. I'm a whole lot more moderate than that. Get beyond that political. It's to killing us. It's just killing us. And even some of the left are starting to realize that it's killing us. Speak the truth to power. Go back. Go back. Speak the truth to power. Listen, I support the President of the United States. I think that this guy has been the most pro-life president that we've ever had. He's been absolutely. And he supports Israel. And when he moved that embassy, I said, he's anointed for such a time as this, because what other presidents promised they were going to do, move that embassy, which is, it's more than just moving a building. It's more than that. It is a message to the whole world that this nation stands with Israel. Exodus 12 or Genesis 12:3, I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. And we need to understand that America is being blessed right now because we are standing with Israel. But when I don't agree with the president, I say so. I say so. I go on Fox News most of the time and say I object to and am disturbed by us pulling out of Syria because of a threat from Turkey that they're going to invade northeast Syria. I've gone on and disagreed with him multiple times. That does not mean I don't support him. But he's got to hear the truth from somebody. And a lot of times, if one person will say it, others will pick up on it. Others will start to pick up on it. We have got to stand with the president, but we've also got to be very open about our objections to some of the decisions, some of the language that is used. And look, he's got a flowery way of saying things, but when he takes the Lord's name in vain, that's over the top, okay? And I just, we've got to be clear that that's not acceptable. And can I just ask you all, know the facts and don't get into these conspiracy theories, okay? Know the facts. Because when you get into conspiracy theory and you start spouting this conspiracy theory, you discredit everybody. And I think the left a lot of times feeds us conspiracy theory just to make us look like a bunch of buffoons. And it affects Ken Blackwell more than it does me, because I love you, man. I really do. And then the next slide. And finally this. Get out there and vote. Huh? Vote. Yeah. Get involved in Get out the vote. You say, I don't know how to do it. Well, call us. We'll help you. We'll get you linked up with a family policy council in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, wherever you're from. We'll get you linked up with them, and you can help them with a get out the vote. Get out the vote, because the problem is evangelical Christians are still not voting to the extent that they should be, because so many of them are sitting at home, and the most fundamental right you have is the right to vote. The right to vote. And we still got a bunch of evangelicals that don't vote, and then they criticize the administration or the leaders in office, and they didn't even vote. Get with somebody that can, and you can call us at Family Research Council. We'll help you find a way to get involved in a Get Out the Vote program and help somebody with voter guides. Get voter guides. We've got voter guides. We'll give you voter guides if you want to get out there and distribute them across your neighborhood. We'll give you voter guides. We'll tell you what's happening in the local area that you live in, or we'll tell you what's happening in the state or in the country, for that matter, with voter guides. And then vote your values, or stay home. If you ain't gonna vote, if you don't have the right values, don't go. Don't vote. The only thing worse than not voting is voting the wrong way. So don't vote. Is that it? I think that's. Oh. And then get engaged in the political process, get involved in somebody's campaign. And right here, there's a man right there. Stand up, if you will, Daniel. Here's a man that is running for the U.S. Senate. Well, we got another one, Mr. Buck. Where's Mr. Buck? Huh? What are you running for? U.S. Senate. U.S. Senate. Okay, who else? Mr. Buck, you're running for a House seat. Running for a House seat. And you're running?
Sandy Smith, U.S. Senate, North Carolina.
Yes, ma'am. North Carolina. Get in their campaign. Get in, do something for them. If it's nothing but go around and hand out voter guides, if it's nothing but go around and hand out information, get involved. You can't sit on the sidelines anymore. You got to get involved. Get involved in what's going on. This 2020, at the Family Research Council, we're all going to be campaigning. We're going to be campaigning with different candidates. Some will be state candidates. Some will be federal candidates. We're going to be campaigning. Get involved. Contribute resources. Give them some money, and then run for office. Hey, we got a guy in here. Where's your husband? Oh, this man right here had the guts. He'd never run for public office, but this man right here had the guts to run for the school board, the most important position in America. Elected position, the school board. Now, he got defeated, but he got defeated largely because there was at least $5 million from outside sources that came into the state to sweep everything. But he had the guts, he had the courage. If it was an all-male audience here, I'd say you had the strength, okay? To get out there and run, to campaign, and put yourself in the public eye. And then let me come back and say as I close, be proud to be an American. Because those veterans, whether they were ever in combat or not, have made such a sacrifice. Please be proud to be an American. I'll tell you a story. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan sent us down in the Delta Force. He sent us down onto the island of Grenada to take that island down and to take it away from the Cubans and the Russians and to turn it back over to the people of Grenada and to rescue 1,000 American medical students. And as we came up, I was in the lead Black Hawk. We came up on that island that morning just as the sun was coming up over the blue waters of the Caribbean. I was sitting in the right troop door, and I had my AR-15 and my magazine stacked up, and we were ready to rock. We came up on our target, which was a place called Richmond Hill Prison. It's where the political prisoners were. As other men were going down to rescue the medical students, we were going in to get the political prisoners out. And as we came up on that target in that lead Black Hawk, we started taking fire from every direction. Red tracers and green tracers coming at and then I heard a popping sound, pop, 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 and I realized they were going through the rotor blades. And then all of a sudden, wham, wham, I knew I'd been hit. They were shooting 50 calibers at us. I got hit up in the side of the chest with a 50 caliber and right up through my armpit. And they didn't have any place to take me. We got hit 54 times and still flying. So you think prayer doesn't work? You think God doesn't perform miracles? And they took me out over the ocean, out to a carrier, and landed me on the carrier, operated on me, brought me back to Fort Bragg the next day and operated on me again, right straight into the operating room. And I came out and I woke up, and one time I woke up in I said delivery room one time, but I don't think that's where I was. That's called the recovery room, right? They said, "Sir, you have a serious injury," and they said, "We need to take your arm off." And I said, "What's plan B?" And they said, "You don't understand. The humerus is shot completely in two in your arm, but the problem is the nerve in your arm is shot in two, and it won't regenerate. It won't come back." And I said to them then, I said, "You just do the best you can, because my God is going to heal me." I've been talking to him, and he said, "If you'll trust me, I'll heal you." They rolled me into a bedroom, into a hospital room, and I laid there, and I was in terrible pain, and I couldn't move. I had no feeling, no movement in my arm, and I was looking up at a TV up on the wall there above my bed, but I was saying, "God, why? Why, God, am I going through all of this? Why are they trying to take my arm? Was it really worth it for that little island down there? Was it really worth it for that little island of 300,000 people? Was it worth it?" About that time, CNN International came on, and I looked up as I was laying there feeling sorry for myself and saying, "Why, God?" And the CNN didn't like Ronald Reagan, in case you didn't figure that out. They were going around the island looking for somebody that would criticize the president and criticize the invasion. And I remember this beautiful Grenadian woman. She had one tooth, and it was right here. I just remember it so well. And I looked up, and does anybody have anything to say about the America invading your country? Does anybody have it? She said, "Yeah, I got something to say." And they went over there, and they did like this, and she wasn't having that. She took the microphone, and she smiled real big with that one tooth showing. And she looked into that, and she said, "Yeah, I got something to say." She said, "God bless Ronald Reagan and God bless America." Well, God bless America. I was proud to be an American. My injuries didn't matter. God bless.